Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Marlene Lee Kang, and I'm the Executive Director here for the Field Center for Entrepreneurship at Baruch College. You're all here again for another Entrepreneurial Lunch and Learn, another one of our programs that we offer as part of our multifaceted division at Baruch College, all free services and programs for our entrepreneurial community. Today's Lunch and Learn webinar is presented by our partners and friends at Wix, and they're going to show us a demo on how to use Wix to elevate your online presence. And we could do this in a multiple ways, so that way we can either work on our business or our personal brand. Caitlin, thank you so much for being here and sharing the features of Wix for us.
Yeah, Marlene, thanks so much to you and your team for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Herring, joining you from Wix today. And in the next 50 minutes or so, we're going to talk about why it's important to have an online presence. I'll share some best practices on how you can get started, and we'll certainly look at a few examples to see how other students and entrepreneurs have approached the process. And then we'll spend the remainder of the time learning how to get started with Wix and begin building a site together. All right, so let's go right into it. And we're going to kind of have this conversation today, as Marlene mentioned, from the perspective of either building a personal online presence, either in the form of a portfolio or a personal branding website, or maybe even just a resume website, lots of different forms it can take. And we'll also share from the perspective of what it takes to build an online business. So I'll kind of use those ideas interchangeably. We'll look at different examples from both categories. So hoping to try to provide value to everyone here in the room, no matter what your goal or intention is. All right, so a couple of things to keep in mind, why it's important. First, is that having a website is an opportunity to take ownership of your online content. And whether that's as an individual or a brand or business, it's important because there's probably already some content about you or your brand out there on the web. I know, like for myself, there's probably photos of me from friends posting on social media, maybe, or, old, articles, maybe when you were a high school athlete, whatever it might be. And that may or may not be the first piece of content that you want someone to find when they type your name or your brand into the Google search engine. So if you haven't done that exercise yet, I encourage you all to try it, see what comes up, and really think about how then having an online presence, a website, can really make sure that your professional presence is what is discovered. And I'll actually wrap up this session today talking a little bit about how you can optimize your site for search engines as well to ensure that you'll be discoverable there. Now, other reasons it's important to have a website is that it'll allow you to tell your story. So this is a really creative platform. You're going to have the opportunity to tell your story through visuals, images, video, whatever it might be. And it's a really powerful way also to showcase your work. So as a student, you're working on different projects, different assignments. Maybe you're doing some work as a organizational leader for a club on campus, right? These are all great things that you'll want to showcase to a potential employer or maybe a client in the future. So it's a really nice way to start to showcase your talents. And of course, having a website will allow you to make connections. So this is a way to network, to bring in new customers or clients. It'll also allow you to create this really nice hub where you can integrate all the other ways that you're connecting with people, probably through different social platforms and so forth. All right. And then the final point I just want to make here is that having a website will set you apart from the competition, especially if you're using it personally as a portfolio to compete for job opportunities. So you'll find that most applications you apply to will have a field to input your website now. It may or may not be required, but it's strongly encouraged. So it's a great opportunity, once again, to kind of improve your candidacy for potential job opportunities. All right, so let's take a look at Wix in action. And for anyone who's not familiar with Wix, we are a cloud-based web design platform. It's free to use. And hopefully after today's session, you'll find that it's intuitive and user-friendly to begin creating your website. You don't need to know how to code to build a professional site with Wix. So if anyone was worried about that, rest assured, you can use our drag and drop experience to be successful. All right. Now let's take a look at some examples. I think this is the best way to really show Wix in action. And we'll start with a business, one of my favorites. This is Celebs on Sandwiches, and Marlene and team has probably seen this example because we love to show it because it's just a fun one. This is an illustrator who does exactly what it says, you know, designs or draws celebs on sandwiches. And this online shop or store is powered by our application Wix Stores, and that's our full service e-commerce platform. So if you're interested in creating an e-commerce experience online, maybe you're selling products or merchandise, or maybe you're an artist and you're looking to sell prints as well, you can easily do that with Wix Stores. Okay, and we're going to help you create that whole shopping experience, the checkout, the shopping cart, all of that really seamlessly. I also like showing this example because it's, if you need a gift for anyone, there's always something you can find here for just about any fan out there. All right, so that was a business built on Wix. Let's take a look at how a student has built their portfolio on the platform. So this is Ellen's portfolio. She's based here in New York City as well. And I'm just going to scroll through her homepage so we can kind of take in some of the content that she's featuring here. You'll notice that she has about 4 or 5 projects or work samples here in the center, highlighting different skills that she has in her field. And then you may have also noticed over here on the right, a couple of images that are highlighting some of her passion projects or what she likes to do outside of her academic or professional life. I love this example because I think it really encourages everyone to think about how they can bring their whole self to their portfolio experience, right? Certainly want to show your academic work, your professional work, but also, you know, think about maybe showcasing what you like to do outside of school as well. Now down below, you can see Ellen's inviting us to connect with her in 3 different ways, either via email, we can connect with her on LinkedIn or on Instagram. So you'll want to also be thinking about how you want to, you know, build connections and really allow people to get in touch with you via your website. Okay, and there's lots of different ways you can promote that. You can use contact forms, chat box, social media, whatever your preference is. And we can click into any of these projects. And what's nice about Ellen's experience is that she provides more detail or context about the project here on a project detail page. So she's introducing us to the challenge that she was looking to solve as part of this project, highlighting some images from different experiences, and providing more information about the work that she did. We can also navigate over to the right-hand side to her menu and click to learn more about Ellen. And also click on her resume, a really important component of any portfolio site. All right, so now that we've seen Wix in action, I always like to share a couple of recommended steps you can take to begin building your website. And these can be applied to either a portfolio or to a business website. First thing you're going to do is to identify your site's goal. So for some of us, our goal will be to build a professional home for our work. For others, your goal may be to start a business or to launch a blog to share your knowledge. No matter what you're looking to achieve, it's just important to have a clear goal in mind because this will determine the content, pages, and features you'll want to include on your site. Now, in order to achieve your goal, you must have a clear call to action. And a CTA will help direct your visitors to what you want them to do. So if you are building a website for your portfolio, your call to action, or CTA for short, would be something like download my resume, contact me, learn more about my work. If you are building an online store, like we just saw in the celebs example, their call to action was buy now or shop now. We'll learn in just a moment how you can use buttons to highlight these CTAs on your web pages once we start building our site together in the Wix editor. So let's take a look at another example. This is Heroines Inc., which is a nonprofit organization who has built their site here on Wix. And what I love about this site, besides being beautifully designed, is how well they highlight their CTAs. So if we look here in the second fold of the website, or second section, if you will, they're introducing us to their mission. And there are 2 CTAs. Both are highlighted here with these buttons, black buttons. The first is to donate, and the second is to become a member, because one of their goals is to really build a community for their organization. As you continue down the page, you see over on the left, there's a call to action to view all of their upcoming events. All right, so if this is part of your strategy, maybe you're creating a website for a student organization on campus, maybe you're hosting some virtual events coming up or some in-person events, know that you're also going to have business applications like Wix events to help you manage that whole process. Okay, so you can see they're using that here as well. And then if we go back, you can see some of the other content they have here on their site. And down below in their footer, final call to action is to subscribe to their newsletter, so we can stay informed about all the activities that's happening within the organization. All right, so we have our goal, we have our CTA. Next is to begin to curate and organize your content. And you really want to be aiming to have quality content, so quality images, videos. You want to have, high standard for your writing. You want to make sure it's clear, grammatically correct, right? It's good to do these things in advance. And you really want to start to plan your site structure as well. So how will visitors navigate, between the different pages and sections of your site? Now we have a content checklist here that's just kind of highlighting a few elements or pieces of content you'd want to include, most likely for a business website. If you're building a portfolio, this list might look a little bit different. It's going to probably consist of a resume, an about page, your projects or work samples, and a way for people to get in touch. And then we always also recommend that you think about how you can organize all of your content using a sitemap. This is just a helpful tool to identify any of the primary pages of your site going across the top here, as well as any secondary or sub pages here on the vertical. Now, the third and final step of the process will be to think a little bit about your brand. All right, and this is applicable for a business as well as your personal brand as an individual or student. And every design choice should reflect your brand identity. So that distinct look, feel, and voice that is going to make people think of you or your product or service. We encourage you to focus on design elements to build your brand that might include the tone of voice that you're using for your writing. Are you someone that's a little bit more formal, or is your brand a little bit more casual? conversational. Also, the choice of colors. Is your brand very bold? Is it bright? Is it colorful? Or is it more maybe minimal, black and white, gray tones? Same with the style of fonts. We'll talk about this once we get into the editor. And you might even want to think about creating a logo. That might be a nice way to represent you or your brand. All right, so let's take a look at two more examples. We'll start with this jewelry design business. You can see they're using what we call a light box to actually entice us to sign up with a 10% offer. We'll X out for now. And then you can see their call to action is to shop now right here in the first fold. But if we take a look at their design choices, you can see it's very minimal, right? We're seeing kind of a black and white color palette here. There's a strong focus on the product images, so very few distractions. You can see here we can browse the product. A lot of white space, which is making it really easy to kind of digest and spend time looking at the jewelry. So I would say this is very minimal in its design here. But that's on par for their brand, which is timeless, very classic. Now, if we look at this portfolio from Zheng, who's a UI UX designer, different personal brand, right? We have bright yellow, really cool animation. Maybe it's reminding us of jumping into a ball pit as a child, right? Exuding a lot of fun. He's included this really nice gallery, which we'll talk about in just a few moments, where you can browse 4 of his projects. So if you're thinking about building a portfolio, students will often ask me, Caitlin, how many projects should I include? And I always say, go for quality over quantity. You don't need to have everything you've ever done since kindergarten. You see here, Zheng just has 4 quality projects, 4 things he's really proud of, and that are really good examples of how he's applied his skills in his field. And then you'll notice down below, he's saying, let's make something fun together. And his call to action to connect is hit me up. So his tone is very friendly, very conversational. It's kind of like we're hanging out and we're chatting, right? So that's, you know, his personal brand. It also maybe might give you a feel for what it could be like to collaborate with him on a project. So think about all of these components and how you can start to develop your own personal brand. All right, and just a reminder that this presentation will be available to you. Marlene and team will email it after today's session. You can also find it in the link in the chat. So you'll have an opportunity to review these examples, check out some of the best practices once again at a later date. And I've included many more examples, both from small businesses as well as students or student portfolios. Students from all different majors and backgrounds here as well. Okay, so you can see here, Abby, she's studying journalism. And she's chosen to feature a single video up at the top here. This is what she wants the focus to be on because she has a reel of clips that really showcase her work in journalism. And then we can scroll down to check out some of her writing, her photos, and her bio as well. And we also have a student here from the University of Virginia who created both a podcast and a blog for his area of study or expertise. So if you're thinking about maybe becoming a content creator or creating content for your portfolio, maybe you're a writer and want to start that blog, know that you'll have a complete toolkit to be able to do that using Wix, using our podcast creator, our blog applications. So it's a really nice way to get creative as well. One other example I'll just pull up here. This is from Amanda, who studied at Eastern Michigan. And I like to show her example because I often get asked by students, what do you do for your portfolio when you study, two different things, or maybe you're kind of dabbling in a couple of different areas of expertise, or you have a couple of categories of projects? How do you kind of create a really useful navigation? And I think Amanda did a nice job. She used her navigation menu, which we're looking at up top here. And this allows us as her site visitor to either go into her branding portfolio and check out a few projects, graphic design, or art and illustration. Okay, so that's how she chose to kind of organize her portfolio. And then we can click and it'll bring us to the point on the page where those specific pieces are featured. All right, so again, these are all available for you in the presentation. But let's go ahead now and move over to the Wix platform. So for those who have not worked with Wix yet, I encourage you, if you are capable of multitasking while on a Zoom, feel free to follow along. But for people like myself, you can also, who are not that skilled, can just kind of watch me demo here, and you'll have the recording as well to go back to it. But I just opened up a new browser tab, went to wix.com, and I'm going to walk us through how to create a new account and begin the web design process. So I'm just moving to the Get Started button right here in the middle. And in order to sign up with Wix, just look for that blue sign up button here. All you need is an email and a password. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. You can also use, your Google or Facebook credentials. And it's up to you whether or not you want to use your .edu address or a personal email address. You can also change those, later in the process or down the road if you want to. So now what's going to happen is Wix is just going to ask you a couple of questions about what you're looking to create today. So we'll click Get Started. First question, what kind of website are you creating? So for the purposes of the demo, I'll just type in portfolio, and you can get even more specific. You could also put in, a store, a landing page, whatever it is you want to build. What would you like to call your website? You can give it a name. However, you can also skip this question if you're just not there yet by clicking on the skip button down at the bottom right-hand corner. And you can always name it later in the process. Next question, what are your goals for this website? So we've already identified our goals, right, in step one. So for today, I'm going to select to promote myself and click next. What do you want to add to your website? Here we're just providing a small sample of some of the tools and features you can use. However, you don't have to know ahead of time. You can always, just hit skip and add these later on. So no pressure. You don't have to have it all planned or figured out yet. Final question, have you created a website before? So I'm just going to go ahead and say this is my first time. All right, so that's it for the questions. Now we're presented with two options for how we can create our website. So the first option on the left is to use Wix ADI. ADI just stands for Artificial Design Intelligence. So in this scenario, Wix is going to ask you a couple of questions and then create a website for you in just a matter of minutes. The option over here on the right is the one I recommend for students and entrepreneurs, and that's to choose a template and begin building your site in the Wix editor. This one's just going to give you more control over your design. So we're going to work with a template today. So I'm clicking choose a template. And this will now bring me here to my Wix template library, where I have hundreds of professionally designed templates, all built in-house here at Wix, that you can use to build your website. So let's take a look at one. Let's hover over this one and click view. All right, so this is a portfolio template. It also has a store included in it as well. And the nice thing about templates is that everything you see here can be customized. So the layout of this gallery, the images, the background, all of the pages, all of the text here, all of the styles of fonts that we're looking at. You can edit it all. All right, so it's just a foundation, a starting off point to begin building your website. Now, of course, we can take a look at another. All right, these are all portfolio templates because that's what I said I was looking to create today. This is a totally different layout, different style. This might, be a better fit for you to start from. But again, the background, the colors, everything you can edit and change. Now, if you scroll up, you'll notice all the other categories of templates you can build your site from. So if you are looking to launch a business, maybe you are, someone who does hair and makeup on the side or on the weekends, you want to promote your services. Check out all the templates we have here. Maybe you're someone that's looking to launch an online store. Tons of e-commerce sites. And these are all going to, of course, be powered once again by the Wix Store application. Also have a whole category for creative pursuits. So maybe you're a musician, or maybe you DJ on the weekend, you want to get a site for yourself going. Here's where you can also find all of the portfolio and CV templates. So let's go ahead and actually, for the purposes of today's demo, let's go ahead and work from this creative CV template. So once you're ready to begin building your website, you're going to hover over and click edit. And that's going to bring you here into the Wix editor. And that'll be your workspace for designing your website. All right, and just take a second to load. All right, so here we are in the editor. And I'm going to start just by clicking on this image. You'll see I can drag the corner to resize it. I can also move it around the page. So this is that drag and drop experience I mentioned earlier. You'll also notice a floating menu will appear above the image, and this will allow us to change the image as well as change the style. So let's begin here by clicking Change Image. What'll pop open is your media manager. This is where you're going to upload all of your own media, so images, videos, PDFs, whatever you want to showcase on your site. However, if you didn't have an image to use, what I recommend is exploring media from Wix. And that's over here on the left-hand side where my mouse is. And now you have access to thousands of copyright-free images, backgrounds, videos, all for you to use to create your website. And you'll see we have tons of different categories. We're constantly adding to the library. So it's a really nice benefit, especially for students, to have very professional looking media on their site. All right, so I'm going to change the image. And then from the floating menu, I'm just going to hit the paintbrush here. This will allow me to add like a frame. I can also open up the diamond option here in the floating menu. That little button will allow you to animate or add an effect to the element. All right, so let's move over to the text. So I'm just selecting hello, I'm hitting edit, and now I can start to add my own information. I can use the settings here to decrease the size. I can change up the fonts. And then I can also change the color, and I'm going to take a moment here to talk a little bit about color. So I'm just clicking on the A here, and that's going to pop open your theme manager or your color theme. And typically with a template, you have about 5 colors that are recommended you work with based on color theory and what kind of works well together. So you can stick with that palette. You can also add colors as you go down below. However, I think one of the nicest features is if you click edit, you have the option to change your entire theme. All right, and that's going to pop open this theme manager on the left-hand side. And here's where you can automatically change 1 or 2 colors across every page of your site, or you could change the entire theme with just 1 click. All right, so if we kind of browse the different recommendations, and find one you like. And this is a nice way to start to add your own brand to your website, right? We talked about color is a really important way to convey, who you are, what you stand for. So here's how you can start to customize that. All right, so now when we go back to edit the text, we choose the color option. We're working with this new palette. All right. Move this up. We can also just delete elements from the page. So if you don't want these circles, you can just hit delete on your keyboard. Okay, now let's go up and actually save the draft of our site. So I'm moving up to the top right-hand corner and I'm going to click save. And for the first time, we're being presented with our free Wix.com domain. And that's going to consist of your Wix account name, .wixsite.com, and then anything after that / you can edit. Now, the second option is allowing you to connect to a custom domain. So that might be something like yourname.com or yourbusiness.com. Now, of course, you can go ahead and begin that process here. However, just keep in mind that that requires you to upgrade your website to a Wix premium plan. Premium plans give you additional benefits and features. So just keep that in mind. Also know that I think Marlene shared in the chat that we are providing Baruch students with a free 1-year upgrade to a premium plan. And she'll share some more information on how you can get that coupon. All right, but we're going to keep just working with the free version and click save and continue. All right, moving over to the top left of our screen, I want to just highlight the mobile editor. So currently we've just made some changes in our desktop view. But throughout the process, you want to open up your mobile editor to ensure that your site's going to look just as good when accessed from a mobile phone. Because as we know, most people are going to find or, consume your website from a mobile device. So you want to make some edits, make sure it's, well laid out here, and then you can always toggle back to the desktop editor to keep working. All right, I know this is like a ton of information in a short amount of time. So if anyone needs me to repeat anything or if questions are starting to bubble up, feel free to drop them in the chat and I'm happy to kind of cover them as we go here. And we'll also leave time at the end as well. So let's start to add some new features to the page or new pieces of content. We're going to move over to the left and we're looking for that plus button. That's going to pop open our add panel. And here's where you have, different features, design elements for you to use to start creating content. Tons of options here. So I encourage you to just explore, play around with some of them, kind of get familiar with what you have here on the add panel. I'm going to begin with something pretty simple, which is just adding a button, because as we mentioned earlier, buttons are a great way to highlight your call to action. So I'm going to grab one of these theme buttons here. You can also choose a different style. I'm just dragging and dropping it from the panel to the page. So anytime you want to add something new, you're just dragging and dropping it wherever you want it to be. All right, so placing it here. And then as it's selected, you'll see that floating menu again. And that'll allow us to change the text. So I'm going to have it read contact me. That's my CTA. And then I'm going to click add a link to link it to my contact page. So anytime you see that chain link button in Wix, it means you can link an element to one of the items over here on the left. All right, so I'm going to go with a page. And over here, I'm going to choose from the drop down my contact page. And we'll go ahead and click done. Well, let's move up to the preview option in the top right-hand corner. This allows you to kind of see how things are coming together. All right, now if we hover and click on that button, that'll take us to our contact page. This is where I want people to go. Now, if we click back to editor, that'll allow us to come back, keep working. We can certainly now work on the contact page if we want to by editing the text, maybe working with this form, changing up the fields. However, if you want to get back to that home page where we started, what you'll want to do is you'll want to open up on the left here your menus and pages panel. All right, so that's highlighted now here in green. It's the second option. This allows you to move from page to page. So you can see here I have about 4 pages: resume, projects, contact. And then I also have the option down below with the blue button to add a page. So let's take a moment to explore that. Now you can always add a blank page to your site, but Wix loves to provide templates, so you can easily use one of the nice layouts here. My site currently doesn't have an about page or a place for me to add a bio, so I'm going to go ahead and just add this one. All right, so Wix created the page and all the content, and now it's just prompting me here to give the page a name. So I'll call it About Me. And the other nice thing to recognize is that Wix has also added the new page automatically to your site menu, which is what's now highlighted in orange up at the top right-hand corner, right? Because that's how your visitors are going to access the pages. So it's nice that it's automatically added here. Right, so that's a little bit about how you can start to add pages, navigate to your pages, and then you can also reorder things here. So if you want to kind of move this up in the order on your menu, you can do that as well. You can also create a sub page here, which is what we saw in the sitemap example. So if you wanted to have like resume fall under about, you can just click, drag, and move it to the right here in the panel. And it'll create this natural indentation So I'll do the same with projects. We'll just click, drag, move to the right. All right, so now they're falling underneath about. So when we go to preview, hover over about, you can now see this drop down menu of subpages. All right. So let's go back to the ad panel and start to add some new content. And one feature I want to highlight is the gallery. We saw that used in Zheng's example to highlight his 4 projects on his homepage. So it's a nice feature for a portfolio. Of course, if you just want to share images with your visitors, easy way to organize them as well. I'll just go ahead and grab the grid gallery, but there's lots of styles you can work with. All right, I'm just placing it down below here, making it a little bit larger. And you'll notice Wix just kind of fills it with some stock photos. So you'll want to take the first step of clicking Manage Media from your floater here. And now you have the option to make the gallery smaller. So if you want to remove some of the placeholders here, you can do that. Maybe you just have 10 images to show. And then over here on the right is where you can replace each one with your own. You can also give it a title and a description. And if you'd like to link the images again, you can link them to another page. You can link it to a document, whatever your choice is. All right, so let's imagine we've added our own content here. All right, and now we want to go up to we want to go over to settings. Because actually I want to just make a few more tweaks. So with every feature you're working with, you're always going to have additional settings, which are good to explore because it'll allow you to make changes to like the design. So maybe we want to have more of like an asymmetrical layout here. You can also change the design in terms of, adding like a fun overlay. You can choose something here from your color picker. Maybe like an overlay effect. All right, so here's where we can get real creative with how it's going to come together. All right, now we can go up to preview. You can see that nice kind of purple overlay. And when we click on the images, it's going to provide all that additional information that you added. And now your visitors can kind of thumb through all the content. All right, that's just one way you can start to showcase your work or maybe your, product images, whatever it is you want to feature. Some other common elements are video. So if you are, using video as a storytelling platform, maybe a way to introduce yourself or your business, you can easily drag and drop just a single video player right here on the page. You can click change video and you can either just upload something right from your desktop, or if you're using a platform like YouTube or Vimeo, you can easily just drop in that URL here. And then you can click to autoplay as well. All right, so now you easily have some really nice video right here on your page. Okay. All right, so that's how you're going to use the ad panel to create some content. But I want to move now to our 4th panel and introduce everyone to the Wix App Market. So anyone who's looking to build their business online, this is an important part of the demo. This is where you have all of our Wix business solutions, as well as other third-party applications from other developers. So it's kind of like your Android or your iPhone marketplace. So you'll find tools from Wix here as well as third parties. All right, and here's where we have a sample of our business solutions. So here's where you have that Wix Stores application that we saw being used, Wix events. Here's where you can add that nice blog experience. Also our chat feature, maybe that's how you want people to connect with you. So these are really easy to add, and I can quickly kind of show you how those work. I see a question in the chat about advertising. So if you want to explore advertising or marketing solutions for your business, you might find some things here. You can see different categories on the left. And then before we wrap up, I'll talk about tools in the Wix dashboard that'll help promote and grow your business online. But let's go ahead and just hit the Wix Stores app, because I want to just make sure everyone kind of understands how these applications work. So I'm just adding the e-commerce app to the site. So maybe this student is also selling, you know, some t-shirts or merchandise they create in their free time here on their site. So they'd want to use the Stores app here. Now, the nice thing about these apps is Wix is going to do all the work for you. So you'll see here, it's created this shop page. So it's a nice storefront with products. Again, just kind of having some filler products here. It's also created the shopping cart. And you'll see here, if you go to your pages, you can access now all of your store pages. Now, to begin to add your own products to the shop, you just want to select the storefront here and click Manage Products. And that's going to port you to the dashboard, just kind of like your back office. And here's where you can start to input your own products. You can trash all the sample ones here. You could just go in and replace the content that's there. All right, so you can start to add your own images. You can get rid of these shoes. You can also add videos. And then you can start to add your product information, how much the product's going to cost. Maybe there are a few options for the product that you're selling. So maybe there's different colors you want to have available. Maybe there's also different sizes for your product. Okay, so that's where you can start to kind of customize the experience. All right, so that's kind of a very kind of high level overview of how you can start working with these tools and features from our Wix Business Solutions catalog, if you will. All right, so it's going to look very similar to that celebs on sandwiches example.
Caitlin, I'd like to ask a question while you're on this topic.
Please.
Some friends from very trendy businesses these days are drop shipping and affiliate marketing. How can we use Wix to support those sort of ventures?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to do a quick search here on the App Store. And you're going to find we have partnerships with a lot of drop shipping companies. Modalist, for example, is one. All right, so you can kind of preview what their service offers, but that's probably one of the most popular drop shipping apps that our business owners use. But again, the power is here in this app marketplace to find a lot of these additional solutions for your needs. Okay. All right, and I'm just conscious of time. So we have about 5 minutes or so, Marlene.
We could take some questions. I
Yeah.
have a few that already came in. So we
Okay, terrific. All right, so we're gonna exit from the front end here. So hopefully everyone feels confident to kind of pick a template, start working here in the editor. But what we're gonna do next is I'm just gonna navigate up to site and then my dashboard, because I just wanna give you a quick tour of what's here in the back office and then take plenty of questions. All right, so here in the dashboard, you'll see this is the website we were just creating together. I can go back to edit it I can also take a site action to trash it or create a new one. And then over here on the left, this is where you have a lot of our solutions that will help you grow your brand and business online. So for example, we have a whole category of marketing tools. Specifically, this is where you'll find our Get Found on Google tool. So if you remember at the beginning, I talked about how important it is to make sure your site's discoverable. So this is a must. When you're ready to launch your site, you want to come back here to use our Get Found on Google tool to make sure you're connected to the Google Search Console and that your site is optimized for Google search. You'll also find tools like email marketing. Maybe you want to send a newsletter, once your site is launched. You can find that here. There's also some ad products that you can work with, even some social media marketing that you can do. We can help you stay creative as you begin to build your audience on social media. All right, and then one other mention here, we have a whole category of analytics. So once your site is live, this one is not, so it's not going to show any traffic, but here's where you would come to actually see who and when and from where visitors are coming to your site. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just come back here to the presentation, and I just want to highlight a few resources that I have bookmarked in the prezo, so you can refer back to them. The first is our help center. So as you work, you're going to, of course, have questions. So support.wix.com is where you can find step-by-step guides, tutorials, on everything you need to know. And then a very new and exciting platform is Wix Learn. All right, and I'll just highlight here that we have courses that you can take online about web design. There's also webinars, certification, so really, really robust learning platform for anyone who wants to really dive deep into web design. Okay, and then a little bit more information about the coupon code that you can receive from Marlene and team at the Entrepreneurship Center. And again, that'll allow you to upgrade one website for free for 1 year. Okay. All right, I see there's lots of questions coming in, so happy to kind of take those. Marlene, I don't know if you want to start with what you have.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with a question that I started off with once we started this demo. Is there a checks and balance built into Wix to avoid you unintentionally adding copyrighted material if you upload your own stuff? Is that part of it? Because I know currently the media that's already built into Wix is free or already approved to be used on the Wix platform.
Yeah, great question. So there's nothing like automatic. There's unfortunately no like automatic kind of check and balance or, kind of warning when you're, using something that you don't own. So it's really up to you to do the due diligence. We do have in our help center a lot of guidance on copyright. And there's even, additional resources on the web of how you can cite content that you might be featuring that you do not have, ownership of. So it is something that you as a site creator, do need to take some due diligence on.
I noticed that videos are included. What about if you were a music producer and you wanted to include audio? Is audio a feature we can add?
Yep, great question. So in that same category where I pulled the video feature, you also have all of your music options. So you have some simple audio players that you can use. We also have Wix Music, which will allow you to create albums, playlists, singles, and you can also use it to sell your music online. So if you're an artist, this is where you'll probably want to spend some time. Here's where you can also find Spotify, SoundCloud. You'll also see us featuring our podcast player. So really a lot of options for audio.
One of the things that I fall short of is building my portfolio, which I plan to do. Is there data available from Wix, or another resource that shows that there's a significant increase in job offers or sales because of the online presence created by a Wix user?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish we had off the top of my head some concrete data on the impact. I have more anecdotal data of students that have participated in the session before and have come back to us 6 months later to say, I landed that internship, I landed that job. And it was because, or the recruiter said it was because I pulled up my portfolio during the interview and I walked them through, how I approach, different projects in my field. So I think, it's certainly making a difference. And I think it's becoming more and more, like I said, the standard or the expectation, especially as we're working more and more in this virtual environment.
Is it possible to take different parts of different templates and sort of like puzzle pieces, match them together to build your site?
So unfortunately, there's no way to kind of work from one template and then, kind of automatically skin it with another one if you change your mind or just want to try something new, at least not yet. What you can do and what I recommend is you can kind of test out all different templates. So you can create as many sites as you'd like for free. You never have to publish them. They can just stay in your account as kind of practice or demo sites. And you can kind of get a feel for how the templates work. And maybe if you like a certain feature in one and you want to move it into yours, you can kind of explore what that is and port it over.
I may have missed this, but I know that every time you hit preview, we saw what your edits were. Does it automatically save, or is there a save button that I may have missed?
Yeah, so up top in the right, this is the save button. So when we first click save, it showed us those domain options. Okay, so you want to, hit save for that first time. It'll show you your domain. And then you'll notice here as I hover over, it's reminding me that auto save is on. So Wix will continue to save as you're working. For extra insurance, I personally like to hit the button from time to time, but that's how your site will be saved.
Does it mean it's live and published as you're working? Oh no.
No, so to publish your site, you want to look for the blue button that says publish. So this will actually make our site live. We can view it now on the web. You can see here's the URL. And you can also always unpublish a site. So if you decide you want to take something down, you can do that in your dashboard.
Pros and cons to Wix versus using things like WordPress or Squarespace?
Yeah, great question. I would say one of the advantages to working with Wix over, for example, Squarespace is the number of templates we provide, right? So we have a library that's, I think, at least 20 times the size of theirs in all different categories. I think they have a more limited choice last time I checked. So we give you a lot of options, a lot of benefits in having kind of a starting point to build your site. The other thing is that you can stay free for life, right? There's not like a 6 months trial and then you're forced to invest. You can create and launch your free website and have it live, for perpetuity. So that's another advantage. And then compared to WordPress, I think the ease of it, the drag and drop features, the fact that we have our app marketplace, it's just a much more user-friendly. With WordPress, depending on what you want to achieve, you sometimes do need to know how to code. So this, I think, is just a more friendly experience.
What's the purpose behind naming your website at the very beginning? Is it related to SEO?
Yeah, good question. So a couple of reasons. And if you want to kind of explore where the name, the title, page names kind of all come into play, a good thing to do is to open up your pages panel, which we explored earlier, and you'll see a 3-dot menu for every page. And you can click on the settings. All right. And this is where you're going to see what the page name is for your navigation. You can also click SEO basics. And that's going to show you what your site's going to appear as in Google. So you can see here, the name of my site or the name of this page as it would show on Google right now would be home and my site. So this is where you want to give it a name. All right, and you can make edits here. This is where that wizard that I showed you to optimize your site will come into play. It's going to kind of walk you through all the changes you need to make here, giving it a description and so forth. And then also, as you are managing your sites in your Wix account, you're going to maybe in the future have multiple sites. So giving it a name will just also help you identify it.
You import a name that you or site that you already have and bring it to Wix. If you ever want to depart from Wix, is that possible?
So there is no, as far as I know, I think there might be some third-party kind of WYSIWYG things out there that other people have created, but there's no way to kind of easily. So if you're working with WordPress, port all of your content from WordPress automatically into Wix and vice versa. So it would be more of a manual transfer if you decide to change platforms.
Can you backdate your posts that you write or any content that you build on Wix? Can you backdate it? Let's say you are importing content from a blog on WordPress and you want to bring it over.
Yeah, so that's a good question. Not that I'm aware of. There is a date that is automatically shown on any post. You can hide that. So if you just want to have the post and not show when it was posted or the date it was posted, you can do that. It's in your settings. You can kind of toggle off what information you're showing, date being one of them. So in that case, if you wanted to, you could maybe just state in the body of the post itself when it was written, as opposed to leveraging kind of the auto date feature that Wix uses.
For the premium version for free that our attendees are receiving, can you explain when that starts, when it ends, and then if you want to maintain their site, what are the costs and things like that?
Yep, good question. So the offer that you have as a Baruch student is good for 1 year. So when you receive the code, you have the option to use that code between now and the end of next year. So it's nothing you have to take advantage of today. From the date that you activate the code is when the 1 year will start. So if you decide to use the code November 1st of 2022, you'll have the free plan for a year into, November of 2023. Now the code is good for 4 different plans, and I'll show you our plan picker in just a moment. But you can see here the different plans: combo, unlimited, pro, or business basic. And to upgrade your site, you want to just move back to the dashboard here. And you always want to look for the purple upgrade button. And that's where you can browse the different plans. And we have different plans for different users or different site goals, right? So the first category is website plan. So this would be good for a portfolio. And here's where you can see the combo, unlimited, and pro. And the biggest benefit for upgrading is to connect to that custom domain, which you can see is the first feature here. And it provides free domain hosting for 1 year. All right, so if you're creating a portfolio, you want to have your name.com, you can choose one of these 3 plans here. Now, if you are an entrepreneur and you're launching a business and you want to be able to accept payments online, you're required to upgrade to a business plan. Okay, and you can see secure online payments is that first benefit here. And the code will be applicable to only the business basic plan here in this category. All right, so if you're looking to launch a business, this is the one you would want to select here. Once you select the plan, you want to make sure it's highlighted the yearly option since it's for 1 year. Click continue to checkout. And 2 things to note here. 1, to upgrade, even with a coupon, Wix requires you input a credit card. And this is a subscription. So be mindful that after that first free year, Wix is going to auto renew your plan for a second year and charge the credit card, just like every other subscription that we sign up for. So what I encourage you to do is to put a little note on your calendar. Wix is also going to send you reminder emails as to when the plan is going to auto renew. And that way, if you decide you want to go back to the free version after the first year, you can just cancel your subscription and all of your content will be the same. You'll just kind of go back to that free Wix domain. Okay. Second thing to note here, this is where you enter the promo code. So over here on the right, under the pricing, you'll input it here, you'll hit apply, and just make sure that this price goes down to 0 before you hit submit. All right. So that's something just to be aware of. Everything we did today, you can do for free. Remember, we saw Ellen's portfolio in the beginning. That's a free Wix site. So lots you can do without even having to upgrade.
Fantastic, Caitlin. Thank you so much, because I think this was such a valuable presentation. Lots of features that are at our fingertips that we can build personal branding portfolios, accelerate our business in some way. So I want to thank you so much for sharing with our community. I thank everyone for participating today. Please look out for a follow-up email as well that will have details about our next Lunch and Learn, which is April 14th, which is recovering your business from sudden trouble. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Marlene. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.